Hey, I feel like I'm running late, but I don't think I am. It's like 9:30 and I'm here, and so that counts. um, yeah, it's Friday morning. This is the second week, the end of the second week of going live every day for 30 days, and so far I'm really grateful that I decided to do it. Um, it has been a good way for me to, I don't know, start my day, to mark the week's progression, to just kind of, I don't know, get things out of my brain, right? um, and you know what's funny about these? In the beginning, I'm always talking to myself. So, like, there's this secret little bit that people get to see in the replay before all these people come rolling in. Good morning. Hey, folks. How's it going? So today I am still doing the silver needle. You know, I probably will continue to use this until I've emptied my little tea jar here and then I fill it with something different. And I kind of cycle through that way, but I've just about emptied it, so exciting things are going to happen soon. Okay, so today I'm just doing the silver needle with some wild blueberries, dried wild blueberries. Mm, I'm really excited about it. I'm having a good day so far. Don't have any specific reason as to why I'm having a good day, but sometimes we can just have good days, right? Um, so let's make some tea, and I'm excited for it. I was really one thing I noticed, and I know I've been talking about this a lot, but the reason that I'm doing these is to like change my brain, right? To like rewire how I, um, you know, feel about any one thing. And I'm always forgetting. It's not that I don't even watch this, and it's always done well before I stop talking, but I like to flip it over. But I've noticed that so you can see my tea making efforts here. I noticed that like this morning, I was like, oh, I woke up, ate breakfast, talked about things with the family, existed as a human. I'm like, oh, it's tea time. And then I just like casually came in here and got ready. I didn't feel rushed. Apparently the frog in my throat did. I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel like I had to, like, I don't know, I just threw some earrings in, got my tea ready and went live, and compared to the first few days when I started, I was not really nervous about it, but feeling like I had to like turn myself on to like being present mode, and I'm just here like, hey, how's it going, and I think it's making a big difference, and I want that to convey over into like just making videos again in general, right? Like where I'm no longer avoiding it, right? And part of that, and I'll say it again and again, is retraining your nervous system not to feel like this thing is a part of the threat, right? And you're like, well, what was threatening? Well, if you get stressed out, if something you love becomes stressful, if something in general becomes even associated with stress, if you don't do something to rewire that relationship in your brain, even if it's fun to you, you're like, you avoid it, right? Because it becomes stressful. Um, oh, hey. Somebody said, Happy Sunni Recognition Day as a Pavey Minsuri from Ireland. Always so delighted that there are threads of open herbal access, aware lives in you among the wider weaves of who we are. Thank you so much. Yeah, today's a good day. Today's a good day. Maybe I'm just like, just feeling it. And so, but I'm also excited because, okay, so there's a storm coming, and it's been coming. I've been saying that for like a week. There's a storm coming. But there really is, and today and tomorrow are supposed to be the worst of it, and then we get back into like our normal temperature range. And when that happens, a bunch of the little baby seeds that I have going in the greenhouse right next to me in my office, because that was a great choice of where to build it. um they get to go into the greenhouse, things like kale and collards and this really cool type of spinach that's super like lands race spinach. It's really cold hardy. And so that's nice because I get to plant those out, and then that feels like, yes, I'm gardening. But also I'll have room in the greenhouse to start the rest of the seeds that I need to start in February, honestly. Um, but oh, I always forget to grab something to sit my. All right, that's all right. I can improvise because I have other things I never put away. It smells so good. But I'm just excited. I'm excited for spring. I'm excited for putting greens in the ground. I'm excited for baby chicks. I'm excited for all the things. Right? And what's funny is I don't know. I feel like we where I'm at anyhow, we didn't have that bad of a winter even though there's a hair in there. Every little sign I saw said there was a bad winter coming, but I don't know. We had some really cold days, but I wouldn't consider that necessarily a bad winter. All right, got all the hair out, and so I'm just excited for it. Yeah, future meals. That's probably what I'm so excited for. Right, the capacity to have food that doesn't like instantly rot that you get from the store or doesn't cost you like $100. And to be fair, gardening in the beginning can be as expensive as you make it. But also, as you go throughout the years, if you're like saving seed and hoarding containers to plant into, like right now, I think at best, I spent some money on like these new little LED lights, but by proxy, those were saving me money because they don't take really any electricity. Everything else, I maybe bought 4 packs of seeds, all under a couple bucks each, right? So I didn't spend that much this year. Um, we already had the compost that we put in the garden, like so for me, it's like it just takes my time and I enjoy gardening. So I don't mind spending that, right? Um, so this tea turned out fantastic. I really like adding fruits to my high-end teas. I like it because it gives it like a natural I talk about it all the time, but it gives like a natural sweetness that brings out like the floral aspects of the teas, and I like that. Um, what's also really good is chamomile with the dried nectarine. It's so good. I'm working on having somebody help me make a bunch of my tea blends like in bulk, right? Uh, that's one of my big goals going forward. And I know I talk about it often, but it is what consumes my life. But like getting help making all the things that I used to make with my body as a machine, and I'm excited about it. And things are going forward, and I'm just excited because it gives me a lot of time back. But also, what it really gives me is time to create new things. And now over the years, I've created and offered over 489 different offerings in my apothecary over the years. But what happened was you guys ended up liking so many of them that I had to make them on a consistent basis. And then before I know it, I'm having to make like this huge like amount of the same things over and over again to keep up with like your guys' need for it. And I'm happy to do that and I'm so grateful for it. But it doesn't leave room for like creating new things, right? Because you're so busy making all the same things again. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting help for some of those specific things to like be taken off of my lap, which allows me the room to create again. And what's great is I can turn my apothecary into like a research department, like R&D, right? Where I'm like, oh, I made this thing. It's super fantastic. I people really liked it. And then I can say, hey, person that I'm already in a partner with who's helping me make these things, here's my formula, make a big batch of it. Right. And then it's cool because it constantly gives me room to create and not, you know, grind my body into dust by having to keep up with that when it is something that you end up relying on. And so, but yeah, someone says I was just watching your episode 1 of Ask an Herbalist from 7 years ago. It's so crazy. Yeah, I try always, and this is part of why I'm doing it. I do a lot of stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do like episodes of Ask an Herbalist, and we're gonna be consistent about it, and it's gonna be a regular thing. And then I get like 6 episodes in, and I have too much on my plate to keep up with it. But then my nervous system starts avoiding things, and so far I'm on week 2. I'm on like day 10 because I'm not doing weekends of like coming live every morning, and I've been sticking to it. So I'm doing well. But the other day I had to go through and turn English captions on for 288 videos because that's how many videos I have. And you can always put on the CC thing on your own, but like if I go and I add captions, apparently on YouTube, it increases people's view time and all the behind the scenes shit that creators have to do. And that was a lot of work. It took me a couple hours because you have to go in and manually change the setting on every video. But what was crazy is I started from newest to oldest, and I watched myself like change clip per clip, like who I was 7 years ago. It's definitely who I am now, but a completely different person. And I swear to God, I aged in reverse. Right. Um, but yeah. Thank you so much for the special emojis. I'm sure they have names. I never know what to call them. But yeah. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying these tea times with you. Question: the necklace you are wearing, you wear it regularly. Do you just love it, or does it have significance to me? Um, I, if you've watched me over the years, I'll put jewelry on and then it stays on for a long time, and then suddenly I'll be wearing something different, or I might swap between. But this one in particular, I, for me, it kind of like represents like the sun and like the massive cycle that we live in that people aren't really all that aware of these days, and like what the power that the sun has like over us, you know and so it's kind of like a reminder to me of like paying attention to the big picture, and not like getting distracted by like the distractions they throw at us, the little things, and like to do what I can every day, just to do my best. But yeah, somebody said your month of tea time consistency is helping me with homeschool consistency. Yeah. It is making a difference in my life, going live every day. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I don't know what I'm going to do when the 30 days is up. I might just keep going. I don't know, because it's not something that I'm feeling like I'm having to push myself to do. I don't necessarily feel that I need a break from it, but I also have to make myself like take breaks if I want to. Like I don't want to feel so beholden that I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna like dip out into the woods for like 3 days. I won't be on and feel bad about it, right? But of course, I would tell people so people didn't think I, fell off the face of the earth and like died in a canyon or something. But um, somebody wants to know how I clean my hair. I get that question so often. I just wash my hair. But I don't do it as often as the average person who doesn't have dreadlocks. And to be clear, it might not look like I have a lot of hair here. Just joking. um, I let my hair go into locks at the age of 13, and I'm coming up on 39. I had to think about it for a second. I'm almost 39 in July. So it's been 25 plus years. My hair, if I have it down all the way, it drags on the ground by about 4 inches or so, and I'm 5'5" if I wear shoes. um, but yeah, I usually just wash it with really, really hot water. And if I use soap, it's Castle soap, unscented completely. And you have to make sure that if you use soap on dreadlocks, I would not use anything besides Castle soap. And you have to, or Castile, however you want to say it. And you have to rinse it really, really well. I don't want any soap left behind in my hair to cause like mold or anything. And then drying it is a situation because I won't put it up like this until it's like dry. And so it's usually like a day or two of like helping it dry with like blow dryers and stuff. It's a situation. um, yeah, but I don't know, like, yeah, it's a huge part of my connection. But um April, I need to start sprouting and growing microgreens for my greens. After recent mastectomy, found my body overproduces estrogen, and red broccoli is a big estrogen producer. Should I avoid? Yeah, anything that has phytoestrogens in it, seeds are notorious for having phytoestrogen because it's like giving birth, if you think about it. Like they will have the highest amount. Like I would eat normal broccoli that's well cooked, right? I just had broccoli, like egg bake for breakfast this morning, but I kind of tend to stay away from the seeds. Just seed eating in general, unless I've like soaked the seed in a, or it's more like a nut. I eat nuts. I don't eat many seeds. Um, but working with things like chamomile would be fantastic for helping your body naturally detox the estrogen. But also getting all soy lectins out of your diet, all rancid man-made PUFA oils. Soy in general is in everything. If you look, it's an epidemic. And then you could even start looking at like progesterone rich herbs or things that have DHEA in them naturally, so your body can convert it. You could get this thing called Progest E. There's all kinds of things you can do. But think of your estrogen like this little cup. It needs estrogen. It needs estrogen in it. It needs tea in it. But if you keep pouring, it overflows. Like, I don't want you to think that estrogen is bad. We need estrogen. But if there's nothing but estrogen in this cup, they're like, it starts overflowing. It represses things like your progesterone and your testosterone, and then you get estrogen dominance and you feel like shit. And remember, estrogen stores in our fatty tissues. So if you see like, oh, you're like, oh, my estrogen levels on my blood test were fine. Well, that's just what's circulating in your blood at any given moment. So if you ever get an estrogen test and you're on the high end of normal or high, you should assume it's like 10 times higher than that because of what's stored in your tissue. Right. And so sometimes blood tests are really awesome, and sometimes they can only really give us a clue as to what's going on because they're just a snapshot in that given moment, and they can't um, calculate or look at what's stored elsewhere in your body. But yeah, anyhow, so I just, I like to drink tea and I stay away from soy. um, but yeah, so somebody asked about underactive thyroid. Same thing. Get all the PUFA oils out of your diet. Start making sure that you're getting plenty of like vitamin B rich foods. I really like brewer's yeast. I have a video on brewer's yeast about that. It's really fantastic for supporting metabolic function. Now, brewer's yeast doesn't have B12 because B12 pretty much only naturally occurs in a bioavailable form in meat products, right? Like our dairy, things like that. But brewer's yeast is still pretty great. Still pretty great for getting like thiamine and niacin and riboflavin and all these other things. But because it can be kind of estrogen heavy, when I in my video I show you how to make an infusion with it and then pour off the top water and leave the sludge behind. It tastes like broth to me, like a mild chickeny type broth. It's not bad. You can add it to your cooking and stuff if you want. Um, but yeah, can I talk about herbs to use during labor? I think that I might have talked to you before, but or not. I think yesterday somebody wanted that. It's really hard, and we can talk about that as a subject. Um, when it comes to giving advice to women who are pregnant, man, the liability is like prison time. Like there are women like recent years that like have gone to prison because they used an herb or told somebody to use an herb while they were pregnant and then there was a complication, you know. And like I've talked about before, herbs are not pharmaceuticals. We can't say that we know an herb is safe to use in the same way that they can say it's safe to use in a pharmaceutical, because even though if the herb has a long standing tradition of use, your body is different, right? And so, but honestly, I when people ask me that, they're usually like, "What herb can I use to help with the pain?" Honey, there's nothing. It's a muscle contraction. You're not gonna not feel it, Not that you were asking for that, but a lot of people ask me. But what I do suggest is making sure that you're deeply hydrated with electrolytes, not just water. That makes labor so much easier and pregnancy so much easier on your body. That you're making sure that you are eating a lot of K1 and K2 rich foods, like so really leafy greens that are well cooked as well, and with fat, because you need the fat to convert it into K2 through your liver. But also you can get K2 naturally through eating things like butter, cheese, milk, animal products. K2 naturally occurs in. K1 and K2 are really important for making sure that you don't bleed too much, right? And then, you can do things like if you gave birth and you were bleeding heavy more than you needed to be, something like a shepherd's purse tincture could help. But I've even seen women get themselves in trouble using shepherd's tincture, because I'm like, you're going to bleed after giving birth. That's natural. But then they start taking the tincture and they're like, oh, it slowed the blood down. And then suddenly you get this big blood clot, in your womb. And believe me, right, like so it's kind of like your body just needs deep nutrition, right? So I know that there are people that talk about herbs for pregnancy, and I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm saying that, women get persecuted if the baby comes out harmed in any way. It's crazy. But yeah, yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I you can research into it, but ultimately, and people are like, oh, you're scared. I'm like, no, I pay attention to what happens. I pay attention to what happens. And if you start talking with an herbalist that's giving you a lot of information, I suggest you tell them to get some sort of practice liability insurance, even if they're not a doctor. I have it. I haven't even, I don't do that. I might do consultations in the future, but that way, if anybody ever tries to like come at me in certain ways and say that, oh, you gave me this advice and I'm going to sue you now, I'm like, well, here's my insurance company. Not that you should openly do it, because they have lawyers and shit that fight back against it. But, it's a really sketchy area. Um, Chamomile for pain, ginger and ginseng for endurance during labor. So I wouldn't. So yeah, it's questionable because ginger and ginseng are both blood thinners. So if somebody listened to that and they took ginseng or a bunch of ginger like consistently while they were in labor, they could bleed heavy, right? Chamomile is not going to help you with the pain. Uh, You need to understand that the pain is coming from severe muscle contractions. So there's not really a way to take the edge off of that. Not really. I mean, you can do breathing techniques, but like the way to make the pain stop is for the baby to come out. you know? And so yeah, it's really, I don't know. I gave birth naturally to two babies. My son was over 10 pounds and my daughter was 9 pounds. And so I didn't have any pain meds. So believe me, I understand the concept. But you don't really necessarily remember the pain after you give birth, because your brain releases a bunch of like oxytocin and dopamine and does special things to make women forget pain. Right. So you do it again. Because, like, would we like sanely choose to do it again if we really remembered the pain? But yeah, um, but you know, it's weird because I'm young, right? I'm not 40. I'm getting there, but like I'm done having babies. That is the next time I hold a baby that's related to me will likely be a grandchild, and my son is 20, will be 21 this year, and my daughter's almost 17, so I hope it's a minute out. But for me, I'm done. My youngest I'll be 40 when my youngest is 18. And so I'm like, I put the time in early, so now I'm, you know, in that different stretch of life. Um, but yeah, these tea times have been pretty good. I've enjoyed them. I sometimes I like when I have a topic about a specific thing. Sometimes I like to just let my mind drift about and talk with y'all in the comments section and things like that. And I won't be here on the weekend, right? Because I'm taking weekends off from the live chat, and I really have enjoyed that because it gives me like, I'm like, oh, this is my weekend, and I haven't had that for a long time because my kids are old and out of school, and and I'm self-employed, so every day is a work day. But there will be an automated video upload of my seaweed infusion, and for those of you who are members, you would have already have had access to that, because members, that's the only thing, they get early access to videos. Other than that, there's nothing behind a paywall, and it's more like a time wall, because tomorrow everybody gets to see it. So I'm excited about that one. So I will be here in spirit. I'll probably be there in the comment section too a little bit, because I know inevitably people have questions. But yeah, so it's been a pretty good experience so far. I look forward to the weekends off, not because I don't like this, but I'm like, okay, now I have the weekend, and now I do this, and then on Monday will happen. I'll be like, all right, it's Monday tea time. And so yeah, I think that'll be good. And then I'm going to try to work in a normal how-to video, or a plant video, or a something video. Usually I think uploaded on Saturdays would be good. Maybe Sunday, I don't know, I might play around with it, but anybody who is a member will get it whenever I upload it. So let's say excuse me, that burp was stubborn. Let's say I did the video last week and uploaded it the same day that I did it. You would have already seen the video like 4 or 5 days ago. Right. But, that's what early access means. Somebody said, I'm going to have basically Croatius ligament surgery. Do you know any herb or treatment I could use to recover quickly? Usually I do castor oil if I stress my knee too much. The main thing, there are herbs, like you could do the comfrey compress once the incisions have scabbed over. Comfrey makes wounds heal too quickly to use it beforehand, and then they'll heal from top down, which is dangerous because it traps in bacteria. But mainly the thing that people need to do when they've had surgery or any type of injuries, you need to double your calorie intake and a lot of fat, because your body needs more energy to heal. And you also might consider like really upping your vitamin C intake, because your body needs vitamin C to create connective tissue and collagen, and like one of the things that happens when you don't have enough vitamin C in your body, and a lot of us are subclinically low, is your wounds heal really slowly. Right. And so that doesn't matter if it's a surface wound or an internal wound. I was recently diagnosed as a pirate. I mean, scurvy, not that long ago, which was really weird to me because I eat a lot of vitamin C rich food. But I, digging into stuff about my genetics, I'm just a weird fucking unicorn because of, me and my dad's culture. Like, genetics are just weird for travelers. But so I've been working on that, and I noticed that I had been having a harder and harder time getting like cat scratches from my daughter's evil Ricky Gremlin cat to heal. He's not a bad cat. He just thinks that everybody needs to play with his claws, right? And so it was one of the things that clued me in. And I'm already maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks into like my vitamin C journey, maybe a month. Um, of working on that, and like working on it from like a genetic standpoint. And already he attacked me about a week ago across the ankle all the way around, like he was trying to fillet my skin, because cats are just waiting to eat us when we die. But that wound healed up in about 4 or 5 days, which is pretty good for how deep it was. Prior to, I had a wound on my foot that it had been a month before it had healed all the way. And then that cat magically, with his witch type tendencies, scratched me through my sock and opened up the same exact spot. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, feud, you are doing this on purpose, but it healed fast again after he opened it up. And it's just because I've been working on my vitamin C level. So if I was getting surgery or had a wound or anything like that, I would consider making sure that I was eating extra calories, making sure that I was getting lots extra vitamin C. Remember, it's water soluble. Your body doesn't really store up vitamin C the way that it does other vitamins. Like, within 4 to 5 days of a low vitamin C diet, you can dip into the scurvy ranges, right? But yeah, yeah, I like cats. I've never really been a cat person, but when I was a kid, I was friends. Like, I befriended all the wild cats in our area in the neighborhood, right? Like, as a kid, But um, they're really crucial when you live the way I do in the country, because the mice just don't give a fuck about traps or blocking holes, or like, I'd rather have a cat that side eyes me and thinks about eating me when I die than than the mice that bring disease and destroy stuff and are bad for your respiratory system. But yeah, yeah, I love our cats. I really do. I'm more of an outside cat person. We have hybrid varieties. We have two cats that can't go outside. My daughter insists that they stay in, and the other, but we live in the country, so but the ones that do go outside, they're very happy about it. But they come in at night. They come in at night and we don't let them back out. So, it's a good balance. They stay around the house because cats do that. They stay around the same perimeter, and we have livestock guardian dogs. So they're like, yeah, I'm a cat. I'm perfectly safe out here. And the dogs are like, yeah, because we keep the coyotes and stuff away. Thank you so much for joining my membership, Delilah Duggar. Um, but yeah, so anyhow, we're coming up on time for me to get started with the rest of my day. If you want to support my capacity to do these tea times, to do my videos, to just be a real human with you, my ability to teach freely and just exist, consider becoming a member. It's only a few bucks a month tossed towards me. There's nothing behind like the paywall or anything like that if you can't afford. Members do get early access to videos that I sporadically upload. But beyond that, if you can't afford to pay, don't worry. They'll still be released to everybody in general. Or you could call something home from my apothecary. I make all kinds of stuff. There's something for everybody. You could follow the link in my bio, or if you're rewatching this, it'll probably be pinned in the comment section. I'm really, really enjoying these tea times, and I don't know, just being a real human. Not that I'm not a real human in my other videos, but like, I don't know, there's something nice about not performing and just like existing with you and just having tea, even if I'm brain dumping information. I find it really calming, even if people think that I'm really worked up and probably on a lot of caffeine. I'm not. This is just my brain. This is a slow version of my brain. Watch my old Q&As where I talk for like 2.5 hours. Crazy. So this is it until Monday. So thank you for hanging out, and I will see you next week, folks. Bye.